How you doing this morning?
Not too bad, Joe. Thanks for having me.
That's good. Miranda, FFA. Now, first of all, let's talk about the Albany FFA. You're an officer this year, right?
Yes, I am. I am this year's treasurer.
This year's treasurer. And regarding the FFA, you guys have grown through the years, it seemed like, and you guys have done really well over the last years.
Yeah, over the past few years, since I've been in FFA, it's still growing, and it was a big organization when I joined already. And Mr. Litchie has been working so hard to make sure everyone succeeds in every area that they try. And he pushes people that if they're not doing well, he asks them just if it's not something that's working out, there's always more areas to try and grow.
Now, Miranda, you still get somebody who comes up to you and says, well, what's the FFA about? What do you guys do? Do you still get those kind of questions yet? Or?
In Albany, a lot of people know what the FFA is, but in a lot of the bigger cities, they don't understand what it is. And the FFA is just an organization where anyone can join. It doesn't have to be a farmer. They don't have to work on a farm because there are so many jobs that are agricultural related, but people don't think they are. And in the FFA, we just work together as a team, do some competitions that hopefully we do well at, and just to get our name out there and do well.
Now, Travis, you're kind of on the odd man out. You're on the other side of the door here. You're graduated. You're out of FFA, kind of, sort of. But you're going to have to don that jacket once again this coming week, right?
That's right. We got to get it all dusted off. And actually, just talking about people not knowing what FFA was, I was telling one of my professors that I would be missing a week. And obviously, they don't like to hear that too much. But she was like, what is FFA? And I mean, that just was strange to me because I go to St. Cloud and I was under the assumption that everybody knew what FFA was in central Minnesota. But I mean, there are still some people that don't. And I love to just be an advocate for it. I wear my just a simple black FFA jacket around wherever I can and try and promote it as much as possible. And anybody that doesn't know what it is, I invite them to come and check it out if they're still able to.
So now you've had a short time to reflect, but reflecting after just a few months, what did FFA give to you, or what did you take away from the FFA as you're now in college?
Well, when I was kind of reluctant to start it in the beginning, my dad and uncles were all in it, and it just seemed like something that everybody was in. But when we were in freshman year, the FFA was pretty small. I don't know, there's probably about 20 members, maybe not even 20. And my sister was in it, and then after her being in it for a year, and then we got Mr. Litchie as an instructor. He kind of was in our shop classes and was saying, well, we need an egg mechanics team or whatever. And I was like, well, we might as well just give that a go or whatever. And it's turned out to be, I mean, one of the greatest things I've ever joined. Just the opportunities that we've been given and having an instructor that loves to push us and bringing us to Fargo for regional competition, then being able to go down to state 3 years in a row now, and just all the opportunities that we've been given and just the leadership skills that you get, the teamwork skills, I would say, is probably one of the biggest things. People that aren't very good at working as a team, you really start to develop that, learning how you should be practicing, how to work together to get through the exams.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned the egg and mech team as well, Travis, and that's I guess one of the highlights for the national convention. You guys won state, so you guys go to nationals, and I know a lot of folks are kind of tricking their mind to figure out when was the last time somebody went to nationals from Albany, and I had a few people contact me, and they thought it was the early 70s was the last time a team went from Albany High School.
Yeah, that's what we were kind of figuring out, too, because my dad was in high school in the late 70s, and so I asked him, I was like, well, when you were in FFA, did you ever hear anything? And he said no. And I've talked with people since then, and they've never heard, so it has to be either before that or not at all. So.
Okay. So, Miranda, you're going to be going as well to the national convention as an FFA member and also as our kind of lead reporter here at National Convention. And we got Travis Raumacher employed by you during those few days, so you can tell him what to do, what has to be done. So we look forward to those reports, and you'll be talking to other FFA members. Or what's your anticipation for the National Convention? You've never been there before. Are you kind of anticipating what it's all going to be like? Or
I try not to think about it too much of what's going to be happening there, because then I'm going to either have really high expectations and they're not going to live up to it, or I'm just going to have them really low and I'm going to be like, I really don't want to go anymore. But I know that I should be going just to support the egg mech team and also to learn what it's about, maybe develop better leadership skills and just be a great advocate.
Mm-hmm. And how many members are going from the Albany chapter alone?
There's 8.
8, and I know there's going to be members from Uppsala, from Painesville, a few other area schools too, so we're going to try and track those folks down while we're there as well, get reports to you. And Travis, for folks who are unfamiliar with, competitions and the AG MEC team, what is it and how do you guys compete, I guess, at the FFA level?
Well, I could talk for about 4 hours on what
Ready,
AG
set,
MEC.
go!
But in a gist, AG MEC, I would say, is probably the most broad competition that's in FFA. The extent of what we have to know always just baffles me. But we get tested on things anywhere from electric motors and controls to the hydraulic systems on either skid loaders or other farm equipment. We have to know how to read manuals. So they'll ask us something like, how often should you be changing the gear case oil on this skid loader? We have to be able to flip through the manual really quick and find that stuff. We have to know, obviously, how to weld. Well, I shouldn't say obviously, I mean, if people don't know, but we need to know how to weld. MIG and stick welding, gas welding. We haven't done any TIG welding, but that's got to be in there. You have to know all about plumbing and concrete work. Sometimes we are given projects like having to, just as simple as like, glue up some PVC piping. There's a lot of hands-on stuff that we do, but then there's also general knowledge tests that we have to take, and the biggest one is a 100 question exam, and we get 80 minutes, I think, to take that. That's our biggest scoring activity, and then we just have some other problem-solving questions. So like one I got 2 years ago was, if you have a tractor moving down a field with a 3-row chopper and he's pulling boxes that can have this many tons of silage in it, how long or how many boxes will he have to fill this, 300-acre field or whatever. So I had to reinvent mathematics to figure that one out. So I'm looking over and there's some kids doing it on some real cheap like parade thrown out calculators, and I have my Texas Instrument one, so maybe a little bit of an advantage there. But there is a lot of mathematics that's in it, and going for engineering is pretty cool. And then also we have 2 guys that are going to be diesel techs right now that are on a team, and then a guy that's working in the electrician field right now. So we pretty much have all the bases covered. I would say 85% of what's going to be at nationals is individual though, but your scores get combined for a team score. And then we have the last 25% is a team activity. And they don't tell us what it's going to be, but they can tell us what past things have been. So it would be like they give you a scenario where you're in the barn and you need to wire up a socket that can run like a barn fan or something like that. It has to be up to code. So we have to take what we know and actually do it. They give us a post that you would be putting the outlet on, and they give us a service entrance panel, and we would have to wire it all up. And you have to put 240 up to it, make sure it's a GFCI box because it's outside and in the moisture. But it could be anything from that, or it could be welding up some kind of a display that would, or a piece that would go onto a chisel plow or something like that. I mean, they don't really tell us because they want it to be a surprise. But the big part about that is just kind of what the FFA stands for as well, is teamwork. They do care that you get the project done correctly in the team activity, but they also want to make sure that they see that you're all working together and that there isn't one person that's going through and doing all of the work. And then at the end of that team activity at nationals, we have to write a report about how it went, what we went through to do that or whatever. So we also need some English skills as well. So, but that's a pretty quick explanation about what it is. But
so mention the other 3 members on your team.
So it's myself, Travis Romlacher, and then Max Snyder, Jonathan Fuchs, and Mitchell Klopbaki. So all from the Albany Avon area. So
you know what day you guys are competing on? Or?
Yeah, so I actually printed off the schedule this morning, so I finally know what's going on. On Wednesday at noon, so pray for us, we have our team activity. So that's what I was just talking about, that where we all have to work together, and then there's an exam at the end of that. And that's the only thing that's on Wednesday. And then Thursday, 8 o'clock, bright and early, we start our individual competition. So that goes until 4:15. So we're taking tests all day long. And I know down at like the state level, we would take tests from 7:30 till 12:30. And that was extremely exhausting because you're just taking test after test, and you get about 10 seconds in between each one. But so we'll be going from 8 to 4:15 on Thursday. And that'll be our individual activities. And then we will have a skill activity review, which is where they'll tell us kind of what was going on, what you were doing good, what you were doing bad. And then on Friday, we have the awards banquet, and they're actually doing it as a breakfast, it looks like. So that's Friday morning.
Right, so we'll know later on Friday morning how you guys did. So
yeah, absolutely.
that sounds good. So that's all coming up next week, a National FFA convention in Indianapolis, and we'll have reports from Miranda and also Travis as well next week, and getting up to date on what's going on at National Convention. So any fun part that you guys have heard that goes on at convention that you're looking forward to, Miranda? Anything like for entertainment or anything else that goes on over the days at all?
I guess one thing I was just looking at, I actually just mentioned it as I pulled this out. I said to Miranda, I'm like, hypnotist show.
Okay.
They're going to have a hypnotist there.
Well,
I don't know what that has to do with FFA.
let's hope they do it after the testing.
Well, that's what I'm kind of looking at here.
Don't want to take any chances
Right.
on that. Well, good luck, guys. Good luck to the team and everybody. Travel safe, and we're going to stay in touch with you guys all next week as well. So
Sounds good. Thank you, Joe.
you betcha. We're coming up at 9 o'clock as